It's another day here at the Zipporra Studios when I personally give you my commentaries and opinions about things that I see on the internet. Because seriously, who doesn't do that? I hope everyone is doing well today. This is the premiere episode of the podcast here at the Zipporra Studios. And I think it is just a very fitting that the topic for today's podcast is something that people who spend a lot of time on the internet would really know about. And that is, drumroll please, Reddit. So, for those who do not know what Reddit is, it is a social media platform boasting over 50 million unique daily users that doesn't look or feel like most other platforms. It's pretty much a social news website and forum where content is socially curated and promoted by site members through voting. Also, it is a hub for linking content from elsewhere, creating discussion posts on topics of interest, and posting original text, image, or video content. Now, for those who haven't really seen Reddit or haven't stopped by Reddit, a lot of people have been using Reddit. I have just put some interest on it fairly recently, like probably last year. And I must say that I got, if you heard anything, that is actually my dog. So, anyways, going back. So it piqued my interest last year. And obviously, I didn't really know a lot about Reddit. Like, I was more exposed into Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, now called X, right? So with Reddit, it became interesting to me for some reason, even if it's just like, I know it says here that it's not like other social media, but really and truly, it's pretty much like an area for keyboard warriors to thrive, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. Anyways, there is a subreddit or like a specific topic that is moderated. I mean, all subreddits are moderated by moderators, obviously, but there is a subreddit that I personally like reading and scrolling through. And I think most of us who know Reddit and is very familiar about Reddit, that is the subreddit called Am I the Asshole? So yes, Am I the Asshole? And it's just very interesting to me that people actually put their stories there anonymously and pretty much ask people if they are in the right or they are in the wrong in those situations. And on this type of podcast that I'm going to be doing, we are going to be going through probably 4 or 5 posts that I will randomly pick in that subreddit, Am I the Asshole? And we will give our opinion and then eventually also read other opinions in that subreddit. So without further ado, let's dive into our first ever podcast here at the Zipporra Studios. Okay, so first, Am I the Asshole question. Am I the asshole for getting mad when I found out my wife gossiped about me? Sorry for the throwaway account. I am 36 and my wife, let's just call her Ashley, is 33. To get it out of the way, I have an above average sized dick. I don't know why this is like the first ever post that I'm posting. Okay, whatever. Let's just continue. I'm not going to the Guinness records or anything, but every partner I've ever had remarks on it. In the past, okay, the thing is I'm planning to make this a family friendly channel. But wow. Oh, wow. Okay. In the past, this has also meant that every single one of them tells their friends and that gossip gets around. This makes me extremely uncomfortable to the point that I had to start telling anyone new, do not talk about my dick to your friends. They all agree and then they all do it anyway. It's very frustrating. Until I met my now wife, who was totally respectful of the boundary. We have been together for 6 years and married for 3, no kids yet. You probably see where this is going. We were with some of her close girlfriends at a bar last night, and I suggested we go to another pub. And her friend, semi-drunk, responds, if Big Dick says we go, we go. Ashley froze up, and I went cold. Turns out that she told all her close friends when we met right after I told her not to, and now they use Big Dick or BD in their group chat to refer to me. Ashley says they only say it when I do something worthy of the name. I don't even know what that means, and I don't want to. So I left them and went home. Ashley was apologetic at first, but kind of thought it was funny that I figured it out, and only learned how angry I was after I literally walked out of the bar. She says I'm overreacting and that what she talks about with her friends is totally normal. I said I don't care how normal it is, that I can't trust her anymore. Am I the asshole? Okay, so this is the Zipporra Studios opinion about this. Things that happen in the bedroom for couples should just stay in the bedroom. That's my take on this. Like, there are some things that definitely you can share with your friends, like if you want to gossip about it, but things like this, like specific topics like this, should just stay between the husband and the wife. Like, why do you need to talk about your husbands with your friends? Like, why? I even if you're joking around, like, I mean, isn't that weird? Like, think about your husband talking about you in your body or whatever you're doing to his friends, and they'd be laughing at it or whatever. And then all of a sudden, when you're with his guy friends, they call you something that's pretty much pertaining to your body. Like, would you be okay with that? I mean, I'm not married, but still, whether you're married, whatever your relationship status is, I think things like that are very personal should just stay between the two people involved and not really shared with others. Like, that's just weird. Like, I always see, whenever I see people post about, even joking about their sex lives or whatever on the internet, even if they're like people that I know personally, I feel uncomfortable and awkward about it. Like, I know I had like, I saw somebody on Facebook post about her and his like them as a couple, about what they do in bed. And I'm like, why do I need to know that? I mean, for sure, like, you can post whatever you want, but still put some boundary in it. Like, is it just me? Is it like the norm nowadays that people can just like talk about whatever they want to talk about, even if it's so personal? Comment down on the section. Put your comment on the section down below. Like, I'm losing my words. Anyways, let's see what the people of Reddit has to say on this one. Okay, so the first one that I've seen here, here's a non-Reddit answer for you. It's normal for her to talk about that with her friends. They're not doing it to hurt you. It's no different than a guy talking about boobs with his friends. As to referring to you as a big dick, that sucks and is diminishing. I get why you're upset and she lied to you, but it is normal, not the asshole. See, that, I mean, still. So is that the answer to my question? Is that like the norm now? I mean, I understand about like talking boobs with your friends. Like, okay, like, if you're with your friends, somebody walks by, fine. I mean, I know it's not right to sexualize people, but we just gotta accept that it happens. Like, let's remove that sexualization part, that if you talk about boobs or whatever with your friends, or if you talk about this hot guy with your friends, fine. That's like, I'm gonna get in trouble for this, but it's kind of like human nature that you will notice that and we'll talk about that with your friends. But I don't think it's normal that things that are so personal and about like that should just stay between a couple and like the four corners of their bedroom should go out and be gossiped about. I still stand by what I said. And now this guy right here replied to that guy and says, I have literally never talked about my wife's boobs with my friends, and none of them have ever talked about their wife's boobs. This is not normal male conversation. Exactly. If you're a mature male, why would you need to talk about your wife's boobs with other males? That's creepy. That would be super uncomfortable. Even the boobs are not equivalent to penises. You can tell how big someone's boobs are easily. Fine, right? Oh, that's a size D, whatever. This is more like talking about your wife's down there, which again, I have never had that conversation. That would be so weird. And that got like 4.6 thousand likes. Okay, next one. Not the asshole. The girl talk is not my concern here because it is fairly inevitable, but I don't think sharing intimate details with close friends is problematic if they all keep it among themselves and are kind. However, using that as a nickname is really, really uncool. I have heard people referring to a woman by the size of her breast more times than I care to count, and it has generally been treated like it's normal and charming. It's not okay or charming. It's mean. Another comment says here, would she be cool if you and your friends refer to her as Fat V? Ask her. And she found out via, if Fat V says we go, is she okay with that? If not, then maybe she needs to reevaluate things. Exactly. Like, try to think of this the other way around. If his friends are talking about you, would you be okay? Yeah, women and men talk. Like I said, it's human nature. Doesn't mean it's right. Exactly. And when explicitly told to not do it, they do it anyway. Pretty shitty. Not the asshole. Exactly. Like you already told her that you're not cool with it, that you're not okay with people talking about you and whatever you have down there, then why does she have to do that? Like there's no respect, there's no boundaries. You better sit down with your wife, pretty much, and remind her again of respect and boundaries. Right? Also, first off, it's straight up betrayal and obvious lying. You have to choose whether or not your trust is broken, beyond repair, or temporarily damaged. Secondly, there is never a situation worthy of referring to someone by their dick size. Imagine a man doing the same thing, but to a woman. If Big Puss says we go. Exactly. Put yourself in the shoes of the other person. Right? Like, not the asshole. I've never talked to my friends about any of my partner's dick size. At most, I've said we had great sex. More importantly, you ask her not to discuss it and she did it anyway. That's disrespectful. Oh, then somebody commented on that. I remember at college when this was a very common thing to talk about. Irrespective of gender, people did discuss these things. Guys about girls or other guys, girls about guys or other girls, depending on what you were into. Not like simply discuss anywhere or to be malicious or anything, but with friend groups, definitely. But I think there comes a maturity point when you realize that it is not just a curiosity and learning about relationships and stuff thing anymore, and it is simply a disrespectful thing to do. I think since then, only one friend has ever talked about something like this with me, and that was only because they seriously needed advice and knew I'd take this information to the grave as though I have never been told it in the first place. Exactly. Like, going back, it's disrespectful. The husband already told the wife that he's not okay with it, so she pretty much crossed the boundaries. And next is that the friends were like gossiping about it and really can't hold their tongue right in front of him. That's mean. That's disrespectful. Her and her friends really need to reevaluate like the way that they're gossiping. Like, fine, like we can't really stop them from gossiping anyways, whatever, but they need to be respectful of you. Okay, next one. Am I the asshole if I gave an ultimatum to my girlfriend for wanting to post nude for photographs? So my girlfriend of 4 years said a guy from her art class, she's in art school getting her master's, wants to take some nude photos of her for his portfolio, and she agreed and just told me last night. I honestly flipped over this. I told her I don't approve whatsoever and said if you do it, we're done. She said I was overreacting and that I'm a jerk. She was non-committal whether she's going to do it or not. I don't think it's normal for a guy to take nude pics of your girlfriend. I don't feel comfortable with it and it creeps me out. The pics would be fully nude with no covering. Was I the asshole for reacting like that? Okay. So we all know that obviously we're all aware that there are some individuals who post nudes for photos and it's nothing sexual. Like it's really just for art's sake. Like we're aware of that and that it happens. But in this case, this girl has a boyfriend and he does not he's not comfortable with it. Even if she can there's like a debate, right? Like she can say that this is my body, I own it, I can do whatever I want with it. But now is another person involved that you've been with for 4 years who says that he is not comfortable with you doing it and posting nude for some other guy, no covering at all. I don't think the boyfriend is an asshole. I think the girlfriend will be an asshole if she still pursues this posting nude for the photographs. Like the other guy from her art class could easily get someone else to do it who's non-committed, pretty much free to do whatever she wants to do. But yeah, he's not the asshole here. And like I said, the girlfriend will only be the asshole if she still pursues this. Like if she doesn't really see anything wrong initially with the other guy asking her to post nude because they're both from art class anyways, let's give her the benefit of the doubt there. I won't call her an asshole. It's just that, just like the other Reddit post that we read earlier, it's more like consideration of your partner and their boundaries. As for this one, the boyfriend has the boundary that he doesn't want anybody to take nude photos of his girlfriend for his portfolio. And at the end of the day, that portfolio will definitely be seen by other people. So most likely, he also probably doesn't want other people to see his girlfriend bare and all. You know what I mean? Okay, so let's see what other people has to say. Not the asshole. She's not wrong for wanting to model for her friend. You aren't wrong for setting that boundary. You two can either have a discussion and try to come to an agreement or understand that you have different views and go your separate ways. But if either of you tries to force the other to conform to your wishes, then you will be assholes. Just like what I said. There's one person who replied to that one that says, he can also tell her that if she decides to do so, he would like to come along for her safety. The answer to that question will tell him everything he needs to know about her and this guy. I get it. I get where this person is going. So maybe this one is kind of like doubting it, that maybe there is something beneath it, that these two people are like actually cheating on the boyfriend and just using the posting nude as an excuse. But still, like, I'm more on, if I was the guy here and I would be thinking that this is the portfolio, this is going to be shared. I feel like, well, it's a portfolio, it's going to be shared, right? It's going to be shared to other people. Like, you're going to be showing it off because this is your portfolio. And if you're not comfortable with other people seeing your girlfriend's like naked, then coming along with her for safety is like a no-go still, regardless. Okay, so next one, not the asshole. I get how you feel, but you are dating an art school student. this isn't uncommon. I do feel it would have been better for her to discuss it with you first, to talk about it in case you had not considered it before. This is the type of event a discussion ahead of time with open minds would help greatly. You both seem to come from opposite ends of this spectrum and would rather thump your chest than talk about it openly. Not much will go well with that type of communication. Yeah, that's another thing though. Like, it was last minute when she told him. Like, there's a lot of time, probably, I'm hoping, to be able to discuss this with the two of them. But that didn't happen. It was very last minute. So probably that took him off guard. And he wasn't ready for discussions like this. But yeah, whoever posted this said that you're dating an art school student. It's a normal thing. We all know that. We're aware that it happens. It's not like it's a brand new thing. But there's also the other side of the coin, which also takes into consideration the boundary of the other person that you're with. So, not the asshole, you're allowed to have deal breakers. I also wasn't aware of the art school equals down with nude modeling, which is the base of the most of the you're the asshole opinions. Oh, so there are you're the asshole opinions. I want to see them because I'm seeing a lot of not the asshole, not the asshole. Yeah, there was one here that says they hire models for this. No need to have a fellow student. Those pictures will end up on the web. That's what I'm saying. Once they post it on like their portfolio online, and especially if you can see the face, then if that's not the thing that the boyfriend wants to see or wants to happen with his girlfriend, then it's pretty understandable that he will react that way. I'm really looking for like a you're the asshole. One. Because right now I'm seeing a lot of not the asshole because he's really not the asshole. Yeah, not the asshole. You're entitled to your feelings. She is entitled to hers. This one right here is pretty much like, not the asshole. Another guy asking to take nudes has ulterior motives. Those pics will end up in his spank bank and probably on the internet. They pay models for this, and he could hire someone or ask someone he knows personally. Right? Okay, I guess we've all settled that he's not the asshole on here. Deal breakers, boundaries, just like the first one. Next. So if you have made it this far here in this podcast, I hope that you are actually enjoying listening to me. And if yes, please give this podcast a like and subscribe to my channel. Also hit that notification bell so that you will be updated on my next upload, which I'm hoping to do very regularly. Also, I do have other channels. If you like gaming stuff, there is the Zipporra Studios, the game room, and for more creative content, you can also head on to my main channel, the Zipporra Studios. This podcast will also be available in Spotify, Amazon Music, and hopefully in Apple as well. And without further ado, let's go back to our Am I the Asshole discussion. So the third Am I the Asshole post that we're going to be reacting is this one right here. Am I the asshole for not moving out of the property my parents gave me so that my golden child sister, her husband, and kid could move in? My 34 female sister, 31 female, was the first among 4 siblings to have a kid, 5 female. My niece is incredibly spoiled by my sister, our parents, and extended family, and my parents bent over backwards for my sister's request, like canceling their anniversary trip because my sister asked to babysit while she goes on a girls' weekend. This spring, my boyfriend and rock in my life passed away at the same time. I lost my job, I had a lot of going on, and moved back to my hometown. My parents owned a rural property they used to rent out. The property had been empty for a while and fairly run down. My parents invited me to stay there rent-free told me it was my home for as long as I needed. I invested a lot of my time and money, found a remote gig into getting the house fixed up. I also made friends with Olha, a Ukrainian refugee with a young daughter. Olha was struggling and I invited her to stay with me for a couple of months while she gets back on her feet. I could use company as well. She was very thankful but hasn't made a firm response yet as she's trying to make things work independently. My parents had no issue with this. Until recent drama, my brother-in-law had been working for a shady company which skirted regulations for profit. The law had caught up with the owner who folded the company and left the country. I'll cut this short given the post character limit. A few other things went down and my sister's family abruptly moved to our hometown, moving in with my parents. Almost immediately, my parents and sister approached me to swap. I move in with our parents and sis and her family take my place. That's pretty much their deal. They said the house I lived in was too large for one person and it'd be so much better for my niece to live on a beautiful property in nature. I didn't understand. My parents have 2 guest rooms. My sister and brother-in-law and the kid have their own bedrooms. I sure didn't at 5. My brother-in-law is still loaded from his old job and could easily get them a place too. They are buying a flashy car. So on top, well, he lost his job, but he's still buying a flashy car. Okay. When I mentioned my work on the property, it was dismissed. When I reminded them about Olha, my parents were outraged. I was still intent on helping someone else and their child and not my own sister and niece. They kept making out my sister's situation to be nearly as bad as Olha's. Eventually, it came down to my parents saying, "You're living on our property, you'll do as we want." I said, "Well, you gave it to me and said this was my house as well, to be my home for as long as I needed. But if you want to talk in property terms and not family terms, evict me then." My parents are not evicting, but I received daily calls and messages from them and extended family guilt tripping me and calling me an asshole for not giving up the more comfortable space to my sister who is in such a difficult situation and has a little child. Only my brothers see my side, but since they are young men in college, their opinion means nothing to my family. I feel like I am taking crazy pills. Am I the asshole? Okay, in my opinion, legally speaking, it is the parents' property because even if they told you, it was just pretty much verbal that they told you that you can use the property for as long as you needed, it's still their property. They can do whatever they want with it. That is legally speaking. But since they told you that you can have the home as long as you needed it and you invested, they are aware. I'm hoping that you have invested a lot of time and money to get the house fixed up because it was run down when you first moved in. I would have hoped that they have understood that you pretty much have taken over the property and cannot just kick you out right away because in my understanding, it feels like your sister is the favorite of the family because even your extended family is guilt tripping you, right? I mean, it's understandable that you do have to help out your sister in this situation, but at the same time, you also mentioned that they are buying a flashy car when they could have actually gotten themselves a place of their own if it is such a big issue for them to be living with your parents. Although it's also understandable that they mentioned that the house is too large for one person. Yes, we get that. But you also invested time and money to fix the place. And you're currently living in the place. So I do feel that you are not the asshole. Regardless of whether you have Olha or not, I think you're still not the asshole for not moving out of the property that you have invested so much time in. When the other family has the means to support themselves and find a place, and really find a place, find another job so that if they can't buy a house yet, find a rental that they can move into and find a job so that they will be able to pay for that rental so that they do not deplete their cash even if they're still loaded from your brother-in-law's old job. Yeah, you are not the asshole. I'm like trying to think about this in like family perspective, but regardless, even if like your family, you should be helping out your sister's family. I don't think it is right that you get kicked out, is my opinion. So let's scroll down and see if others have the same opinion as I do. Ooh. Sorry, but this is your parents' property, just like what I said, right? Legally speaking, it's their property. They've apparently not given it to you in any real, definitive legal sense. They should definitely compensate you for fixing it up, though. Well, that's good. Because, yeah, if they really want to kick you out, then they can compensate you for fixing it up. Like, I mean, seriously, you can easily find another place, I guess. But they cannot just throw it out of the window that you have invested so much in this property. I frankly do not understand all the negative responses here. Are you missing the fact that OP is still grieving a very recent loss? It's not like she's been there for years. At most, she's been there less than 6 months. She's barely settled and beginning to heal. They could give her a timeline if sister's not figured out something in a few months, but it's incredibly disrespectful to do so. And who buys a new car when they are unemployed? Sounds to me like sister expected this home once she knew she could get it for free. Not the asshole. Mic drop. You make a lot of fuss about your sister and niece being spoiled, but you're leeching off your parents just like she would be if she lived in the house instead. It's obnoxious of them to try to throw you out when they told you that you could stay there for as long as you wanted, but it's their property. Seems like you could all stand to grow up and pay for your own housing instead of squabbling over mom and dad's resources. Yeah, but the thing is, she spent money to fix that. Right? But the sister is going to be moving in there with no investment to that house whatsoever. And now that the person who has invested so much time and money in there, and just like as I was reminded, who is also going through something emotionally and mentally, is also going to be kicked out because the other sister is in another unfortunate situation. So pretty much like the parents is like choosing which one of the two. But I do understand though that there's a space at home, but yeah. It's technically not your property that was given to you. Like I said earlier, legally speaking, it's the parents' property. It's your parents' property, and this isn't going to end well for you. You should definitely ask for the money that you spent fixing the place up back. But honestly, it does make sense for a family with a child to live in the house versus someone who is single with no kids. And I can see why your parents would care more for their grandchild over Olha and her child. It's their daughter and their granddaughter. They're always going to want the best for them, and people want to spoil grandkids. It's just a thing. I agree though. Grandkids are really... Well, this one is like very racially driven. Y'all Americans are so cold. God, everything has to be legally binding for y'all to acknowledge it even. Sometimes the word of a family member does mean something even if it wasn't legally acknowledged. She is not the asshole. Her birth givers gave her their word, so it's natural to feel betrayed. Sure, it's naive to be this way, but it's working out, right? They're not evicting her. I think it's okay for her to be stubborn for once. She said her brother-in-law can afford to get them a house, right? Then why isn't he? They want to spend on nonsense. Not her fault. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. They're not totally drained. If they can buy a flashy car, which she mentioned that they are going to, why can't they find a house of their own then, instead of having to kick out somebody also with somebody in there with her? Or maybe it's just me. Am I the asshole? Maybe. I don't know. So somebody replied to that one, for real though, I hate how many people have such a landlord mentality here. She was staying there rent free. The parents were not profiting from that property anyways, probably because it couldn't be legally rented without the extensive renovations that OP took care of. Exactly. That could also be another thing. That's probably the reason why they're not profiting from it. Because they didn't get it done, they didn't get it renovated out. Then come in OP, renovated it, now living in there, and now they wanted to kick her out because the other sister is in a difficult situation, but really buying a flashy car. Okay, so there's like an exactly you're the asshole. Sorry, but stay here as long as you need to. A grieving person is an offer for temporary refuge, not a gift of property. It isn't your place, and I have no idea why you thought it was sensible to sink your money into fixing up someone else's house, or why you took it upon yourself to ask other people to come stay. These are the kind of things that need to be agreed with the owners of a property. Somebody replied to that, stay here as long as you need means stay as long as you need. If it meant something different, they should have phrased it different. Stay here until you get back on your feet would have been better. Exactly. Don't say shit and then backtrack it later with conditions that weren't present before. Either way, shit should have been in writing, and all repairs and maintenance should also have been in writing. But families don't want to do business together, and then this happens. Yeah. This would be an unpopular opinion, it seems, but not the asshole. Like, there are some not the asshole things, but I still stand by what I said. Not the asshole. I still stand by it. I don't care about the others. You're a landlord mentality. I don't care about it. Now, for the final, am I the asshole Reddit post to comment on today? This is it. Am I the asshole for telling my sister-in-law their choice of baby name is effing ridiculous? This will be a short one. Sister-in-law choosing to name her daughter America Dream. At first I thought it was a joke, so I laughed. She's dead serious. I told her that it is a freaking ridiculous name. They are setting up their daughter for failure. My brother pulled me aside and said I was overreacting. My sister-in-law and brother want me to apologize. I told them I would not apologize for stating a fact. That name is ridiculous. She said sister-in-law does plan on it being a double name just like hers, goes by her first and middle name. She plans to do the same for her daughter. It was just America, I could see that. If it was just Dream, I could see that. The combo together, especially with the intent to use it as a double name, is what makes it ridiculous to me, in my opinion. So this is my opinion about it. I agree. It's a freaking ridiculous name. American Dream. Can you imagine American Dream? That's your name. I mean, can you, like, especially, like, look at Kim Kardashian's daughter, like Northwest. I mean, we're used to it now. We're pretty much used to it now, but still at that time we were just like, what the hell? Why would you name your kid Northwest? But this is kind of more ridiculous than that one. American Dream. I would have preferred Dream, to be honest, rather than America. But to each their own. But putting them together as one name, exactly, like this original poster is like saying you're setting them up for failure, which is actually true. Regardless of how many times we try to stop bullying in schools and in kids, it will happen. It will. Regardless, it's not gonna go away. Let's just accept that. And this kid is gonna be bullied for having that name, and you don't want that. You're setting them up for failure. You're setting them up to be bullied and made fun of. Why would you do that? There are other unique names out there that you could have chosen for this kid, but you chose something that would put them in a situation that they will be made fun of, especially when they're older. Why? I really want to ask why the sister-in-law chose American Dream as a name. But anyways, let's head on over to the comments. They should call it Amy, same as my pet hamster. Yeah, not the asshole. Children aren't pets. You don't just pull a name out of a hat. Exactly. You have to think about it. Sometimes you even have to look at the baby first and make sure that the name actually suits them. Right? I know some parents actually do that. They already have a baby name in mind, and then suddenly they see their baby once it's born, and then they change their minds because they're like, oh, it doesn't look like a Steve. Right? So they have to live with that name for at least 18 years, which is 18 years of bullying, harassment, and more. I've seen people who do hiring says it's huge disadvantage to have a name like that. If it's down to two perfectly identical candidates except for names, they'll pick the easy name. This one is saying about like hiring people. The worst I've heard is number 16 bus shelter. There are actually people who actually name their kids like that. Their child is going to get bullied and by kids named ABCD. Not the asshole. That's what you name a horse running the Kentucky Derby, not a child. Exactly. This is not an animal. This child is going to be aware of their surroundings, will be made fun of. Why would you put them into that situation? My uncle wanted to name his firstborn Squirtle. Squirtle. His firstborn ended up being a girl. He still wanted to name her Squirtle. Luckily, her mother had common sense and shut that right down, so my cousin has a normal, relatively common girl's name instead. Why would you name your child Squirtle? And imagine if it was even a girl, not to be sexual or anything. Naming a girl Squirtle. Just try to imagine that. Some parents really should not be parents at all. Because, if you have already failed to be a responsible parent at the beginning by choosing a name for your child, can you even be a responsible parent at all? Right? Parents who name their children things without thinking about the child's future at all are selfish in that regard. You shouldn't name them super weird things, as it is not fair for them. If her child ends up wanting to change their name in the future, I would not be surprised. I would be livid. If my parents named me something like that, I would immediately pay for it. I'll ask for a loan if I don't have money just to get a name change, because seriously, I will not be able to live my entire life named as American Dream, and even worse, Squirtle. So parents, if in the future you get to watch this or listen to this, please be mindful of your decisions, especially in naming a child. Please be responsible at the very beginning. Okay? Yeah, everyone's not the asshole, because I would be surprised if somebody says that it's actually fine to name somebody American Dream. Thank goodness I still have hope for humanity. Because most of us still think that American Dream is not the right name for a child, and it's for a horse in the Kentucky Derby. I really like that comment. So yeah, I think it was really fun doing this, especially for the premiere episode for this podcast. Like I said, this will also be available on Spotify Music, Amazon Music, and hopefully in Apple. I'll see if I'll be able to. But anyways, if you like this podcast, please like and subscribe to the channel. Also, hit that notification bell so that you don't miss any upload for this podcast channel. If you want to see creative content, head on over to my main channel, Zipporra Studios. If you want to see some gameplays of some cozy games, head on over to Zipporra Studios, the game room. I will see you all in the next time. Bye now.